4 races remain in the 23-race schedule for the ARCA RE/MAX Series. Today it's the Chicagoland ARCA 200 from Joliet, Illinois, and the Chicagoland Speedway. Hello everyone, I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons, and we come to Chicagoland Speedway. A lot of people would call it a cookie-cutter racetrack, but Phil, this is not a cookie-cutter racetrack. This is a unique racetrack for a mile and a half.
Well, it really is. We often see a tri-oval on the front stretch. This racetrack actually has a little bit of a bend on the back stretch, so you never really get going straight here at this racetrack. But it's a great racetrack. You can run on the bottom of the racetrack. Philip Magilton was practicing up at the top of the racetrack, trying to get that outside groove worked in so he can make some passes on the car. And we got a great racetrack. We have a great point battle, but we also have a very competitive field here. You throw Michael McDowell out, who is about 0.2 of a second quicker than our outside pole sitter, and then the next 14 cars are separated by only 1/2 a second. So we have any one of 15 cars here capable of winning this race.
Well, the last time we were on speed, it was at Gateway, and that was on a Friday. Well, then the ARCA RE/MAX Series made a trip to Des Moines, and they took over the dirt track. On the pole was A.J. Fike to start this one. Ken Schrader and that Federated car also on the racetrack. Well, it was going to be Ken Schrader's day as Ken Schrader and Josh Wise battled going down the front stretch. Coming out of turn number 4, it would be Ken Schrader taking the checkered flag. Justin Allgaier had problems coming out of 4, but Schrader wins another race in the ARCA RE/MAX Series. What does that do to our points battle? Well, Michael McDowell and Frank Kimmel coming into the points battle were tight. Michael McDowell had problems in that race, and Frank Kimmel came into this race with a 200-point lead, Phil.
That's already been trimmed up, though, by virtue of Michael McDowell getting the pole. He gains another 15 points. So right now he finds himself 185 points behind Frank Kimmel. That is not insurmountable. That lead can evaporate in one race.
Most definitely. And you talk about the bonus points that McDowell has been able to attain. 130 qualifying bonus points for Michael McDowell, just 5 for Frank Kimmel. But the real deciding factor here is 5 DNFs for Michael McDowell and only 1 DNF for Frank Kimmel. Our ARCA RE/MAX starting grid will roll across the top of the screen, letting you know who is on the pole. It's Michael McDowell once again. Let's go down to Jim Trado, though. Jim?
Well, Michael McDowell today has one mission in mind. That is to lead the most laps and win this race from the pole position. You talked about how many points he gained in qualifying. He's also gained 65 as he's led the most laps and a number of races this year. 5 to lead the most. He's wanting to nail that down. He brought his best piece here today. He said, this is the best car we have. Ganassi Racing sold us a car that raced in Nextel Cup just this year. We think we've got our best piece here to do what we need to do to put the pressure on Frank and keep him in our mirrors.
Michael McDowell obviously is going to want to stay out in front. Michael, one of the Rolex racers that's in the field. Now, the last time we had these 4 guys in the field, all of them were very impressive. And even though we're not on a road course, it's still impressive how they're able to run on these ovals.
Well, absolutely. We had 4 road racers in the field at Gateway. All 4 of these guys finished in the top 10, led by Michael McDowell, who finished 2nd. Andy Lally making his 2nd ever ARCA RE/MAX start, finishes in the top 10 for the 2nd time. And Colin Brown, driving Roush Fenway's Ford, ends up in the top 10 in his very first start, as well as Justin Marks, who had a runner-up finish in Milwaukee just a few races ago.
Now, we can talk all we want about these road racing experts, but why wouldn't we bring in a road racing expert of our own?
Great idea.
To have us talk a little bit more about, or in depth of these guys. Chris Neville.
Rick, these road racers have all had great finishes, and all of them admit that they still have a lot to learn about oval racing. Now, Colin Brown and Andy Lally have the fewest starts, and both are saying not only are they having to relearn their driving style, but really relearn how they approach the setup in the cars. In sports cars, it's about springs, shocks, and sway bars. In these stock cars, they're having to think more about wedge adjustments and track bar adjustments. Very different approach than what they're used to. Now, these boys might feel like fish out of water, but if they continue to finish the way they have, they're going to show everybody that they can swim in this pool.
Most definitely, and it's a big pond with a couple guys up front that are going to run well, we know for sure. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being Gabby DeCarlo. She will drive the number 80 Great Clip Chevrolet. She starts in the 35th position. Gabby, one of 3 women to start this race today.
We're also going to ride along in the 47 of Philip Magilton. He's driving the SI Performance Ford out of the Bruco Motorsports stable. He's going to be starting 10th, trying to improve on his 3rd place career best finish at Milwaukee a few races ago.
Also on board again with Brian Silas. He drives at number 11 Nortrax Holland Pump Chevrolet. He's going to start in the 7th position, and that's 1 spot better than he's finished this year. His career best 8th. He's done it twice, once at Salem and the most recent one at Kentucky.
we're also going to ride along with a fairly new driver to the ARCA RE/MAX Series, Frank Kimmel, 8-time champion, 71-time race winner. He starts fourth, a great qualifying effort for Frank in that former Roush Fenway Ford. He's driving the Fort Dodge Animal Health Port Ford for Larry Clement.
A few different cars are going to have to go to the back. Erin Crocker had some suspension adjustments that they needed to make, and so she will take that number 98 to the back of the field. Let's go down for thoughts before green to Jim Trado.
Continuing the thought on Erin Crocker and her effort, she actually said that the car was wicked bad. Actually, her crew chief, Randy Seal, said this car was evil yesterday in practice. They got it a little closer in qualifying, but decided to make those suspension changes and go closer to where they thought they would be. Drastic changes are what the team engineer told me for Erin Crocker. And they're hoping to not only start in the back, but progress here. They always have about a $60,000 purse to worry about when it comes to the Super Speedway Challenge here in the ARCA Series, which she currently leads. Guys?
We will see, thank you, Jim, if she can make her way from the back to the front. As you mentioned, she's leading that Super Speedway Challenge in the points, so we'll see how she does here today. Green flag flies. We're underway with the Chicagoland ARCA 200. Hardy trying to make it 3 wide, Phil, as they go into 1.
Yeah, see Jeremy Clements on the outside there. He would love to lead that first lap.
Oh, problems early on.
Already. Dominic Casola around.
Bends into the grass. We haven't seen the caution flag fly as of yet. We'll see if Dominic can get it turned around back on the racetrack.
Looks like he has it going again. No caution flag yet. They're going to remain green, and Michael McDowell will achieve goal number 2, leading the race.
5 bonus points for Michael McDowell for leading the first lap and leading any lap in the ARCA RE/MAX Series. You gain 5 points. Then you'll also gain 5 more bonus points if you lead the most laps, and that was his other goal. Get out in front, get the pole, lead a lap, and lead the most laps. Well, and then
win the race. Yeah. There's another guy right there, a couple other guys, the 3 of Jeremy Clements and the 46 of Frank Kimmel that have a similar goal to what Michael McDowell does, and that's win the race.
Brett Hudson was starting up toward the front. He's dropped back just a bit now as he has gone back to the 5th position. So it's Michael McDowell, Jeremy Clements, Frank Kimmel, your top 3. Josh Wise running 4th. And what an impressive run Josh Wise has had over the past few weeks.
He really has. A couple second-place finishes in a row. It's over one weekend, really.
Yeah.
A Friday and a Monday with second-place finishes.
3 wide. Look at Mario Gosling go to the inside. That's Jason Hedleski in the number 75 Curtis Air Compressors that he went by, and that's Pete Shepard on the outside of Mario Gosling right now in the 39. So Gosling in the 12 on the inside, Pete Shepard on the outside.
There's Patrick Shelter, the 60 car right in front of Mark Mitchell in the 56. The Aragon car, that's a little bit different number for that car. We used to seeing that car with a number 93, and occasionally we saw it with number 4.
Wow.
Brian Keselowski, tough break.
Bad day for Brian Keselowski. Actually, a bad 2 days for him. He in practice put that number 5, actually the primary number 5, into the wall very hard in 3 and 4. They had to go to a backup, and now obviously they're having problems with their backup.
Yeah, and that backup car had never been on the racetrack this year. Unfortunately for that team, they're going to have an early exit here. There's the spin early. We see a little bit of a bump up there. The 37 of Michelle Theriot gets in the back of Dominic Casola. They were real slow on the inside there, and that's what chain reaction deal typically someone's going to pay for. Here's Gabby DiCarlo right here. Great clips on board. She's going to get a good view of that. Dominic did a nice job of not letting that car get back up on the racetrack.
Michael McDowell out in front of the field by a half a second already. Jeremy Clements running 2nd. And now they're coming up on the slower lap traffic and will start to move their way around them. McDowell talked about being able to keep that car right on the white line early on in his runs.
Yeah, I think when you have fresh tires, you know, in the car's handling, well, you want to be right on the bottom of the racetrack. But as you get a lot of laps on these tires, that's when you want to look at maybe moving around the racetrack. And that's what Philip Magilton was doing in practice yesterday, looking for that option of going high.
Michael McDowell, one of the fastest cars in practice yesterday. Obviously the fastest car in qualifying, starting from the pole. And today, continuing to lead the field around this 1.5 miles. Speed's coverage of the ARCA RE/MAX Series from Chicago is presented by RE/MAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. That's Dominic Casola just in front of Michael McDowell. He's a lap down car, and so McDowell will try to work his way around him while McDowell is working on Dominic Casola. Jeremy Clements has closed
trouble,
the gap.
Justin South.
Justin South gets turned around into the infield. Caution flag has come out. It's the first one of the day here at Chicagoland.
Justin's going to get her back up to speed.
They're going to have to update his headshot because Justin South showed up with a short haircut.
I didn't even recognize him. I didn't even recognize him.
This caution coming out on lap 11.
Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened. See him on the inside. He got a little bit loose there. Mark Mitchell, the 56, was right behind him. He was on the inside of the 11 of Brian Silas. So often you lose air off that rear spoiler when you're on the inside of another car like that, and that looks to be what happened to Justin. Did a nice job of, see, there's another view of it right here. He's on the inside again, losing that downforce. He actually got loose. The 56 of Mark Mitchell made no contact with Justin whatsoever.
You had mentioned Brian Silas just to his outside. We've got a shot of it right here. Look at that car break free right about there, and now he's going to slide across into the infield.
And Mark Mitchell did a nice job avoiding Justin when he got sideways right in front of him.
So our first caution of the day has come out on lap 11. Now, Phil, the pit window is upwards, I mean, over 50 laps. So would you come in early? Only problem, I guess you would come in for now is because your car's not handling well?
Yeah, if you had to make some pretty substantial adjustments or the car was undrivable, then you would come in. Otherwise, I don't foresee any of these cars up front right here coming in.
Jeremy Clements has been running real well. Running second, he closed the gap on Michael McDowell, and then Kimball has been able to move up into the third spot after starting fourth.
Colin Brown with a nice run so far up into the top 5, fourth position.
Dropped back the 3 spots was the 0 of Brett Hudson. He started actually 2 spots. He started third, dropped back to 5th.
There's Josh Wise that's been on fire here lately. Had a good second place run to Ken Schrader, which is no small feat at DeCoin earlier this week.
Josh Wise driving for Michael Waltrip Racing, and then right behind him in that 31, Alex Jans driving for Richard Childress Racing. So we're seeing developmental drivers still here in the ARCA series competing very well.
That's absolutely. We've got most of the cars staying on the racetrack. Got the 66 of Brian Reffner coming down pit road, as well as Brian Silas in the 11. There's Philip Magilton's on board, the SI Performance Ford.
Reffner comes in. Reffner started this race in the 9th position, so looks as though they're going to do just a chassis adjustment and fuel, no tires. Brian Silas is going to get the right side tires at least.
Yeah, Brian Silas had backed up a little bit from his starting position, so most of these teams feel like they need to make some adjustments, and that's why they're coming to pit road this early.
They're going to do all 4 tires there for Brian Silas. Chris.
That's right, Rick, doing all 4 tires. One of the few teams down here that is doing tires. Some cars just came in for fuel, but Silas going with 4 fresh hoosiers.
Races his way back off pit road.
Most of the teams feel as though we'll have enough caution flags. They want to probably stop somewhere between 50 and 55 on this first run because of the impound rule. ARCA will not allow them to top off the fuel after qualifying, plus the 3 pace laps. So a little less fuel in the car when they start the race.
And that top 5 hasn't moved much since the start of this race. McDowell has held the point for all 13 of the laps that have been completed. He will hold it through 14 as they will come to the green flag here for our first restart of the day.
He has not been able to shake that 3 car, Jeremy Clements. Jeremy had that big win, his first career win just a few weeks ago in Nashville, and came oh so close at Pocono, within about 100 or 200 yards of making it 135 miles at Pocono on fuel because of all the caution flags, and ran out coming off the last corner on the last lap.
Green flag back in the air. We restart on lap 15. Slow getting up to speed there. Billy Venerini in the 25.
Really, the 75 of Jason Hedleski was a little bit slow, and that got everybody stacked up behind him. Good clean start from Michael McDowell, Jeremy Clements, Frank Kimmel up front.
A little bit of a freight train. They call Chicago the Windy City. Yesterday it was very windy here, but it was in gusts. And Frank was talking about certain laps he would come down the front stretch or the back stretch and he'd hit the chip, and then other laps he wouldn't because the wind was either in his face a little bit too hard or behind him a little bit harder. And so he said it was very difficult to get a good feel for the track.
Take a look at Frank here. You see him in the cockpit. You see how much he's turning the steering wheel. Again, just a gradual bend all the way down this backstretch here. A little bit unusual. You can see him putting a little bit of wheel input to it.
Tim is staying right up there with Jeremy Clements, Michael McDowell, as the three have separated themselves from Colin Brown. Colin Brown is second back from Kimmel even.
Good side-by-side battle back there for the 6th position. Alex Johnson of 31, the 0 of Brett Hudson. Alex on the inside. That's a Richard Childress car, as you mentioned earlier. Brett Hudson's uncle is Donnie Richardson, who is Kenny Schrader's crew chief. Kenny not here, obviously, this weekend. Alex going to try to make the pass on the inside. Does make that pass. There's Justin Marks right behind this group, getting by the 47 of Philip Magilton. Actually, they're racing Philip Magilton, trying to get by the 65 of Justin Marks.
Early on in this race, the 5 driven by Brian Keselowski came off of the racetrack and into the garage. Chris, you know what happened with that team?
Rick, initially I went down there and the team had already cleared out from pit lane, so I found him over in the garage, and Brian said it was a transmission failure right on the start, so he dropped back. He said there's no way to fix the car. That was their backup car after that big wreck that he had in practice, so he just said, you know what, real tough weekend all the way around.
They've had transmission problems before as well. Brian's has struggled a little bit there as well. We see Dominic Casola coming on to the pit road access road.
Down on the 8th of the racetrack over in turn number 3. That's Gabby DiCarlo's on board. Ooh, looks like probably an engine problem right there for Dominic Casola.
You don't see a lot of fluid being put down on the racetrack, but at the same time, we're going 165 miles an hour, so it's kind of hard to see. Michael McDowell out in front, and now he's got a little bit of distance between himself and Jeremy Clements. Half a second separates the two. Frank Kimmel, Colin Brown, and Josh Wise, your top 5. Another great season for the ARCA RE/MAX Series. 13 different winners in the 19 races that have been run up to this point. It's the Chicagoland ARCA 200 that we're contesting now. Out in front of the field is Michael McDowell, but a battle for the 8th position between Justin Marks and the 0 of Brett Hudson.
Yeah, Philip Magilton is in that battle also. Remember, we talked about him running the high side during practice, and he's doing that right now. See him racing with Justin Marks right there. Justin Marks really coming off a great 4 races. 4 top 10s in a row for Justin Marks. Really turning his season around. You can see right here, last 4 races, 4th at Springfield. Got a great runner-up finish in Milwaukee, 8th at Gateway, and 7th on the dirt at DuQuoin. Look how high Philip Magilton's running right now.
Yeah, way higher than I'm sure he wanted to run right there. Justin Marks takes advantage of that. Runs right on the bottom of the racetrack and gets by him.
It's not necessarily working for Philip Magilton right now.
Oh, they're in trouble
on
the front stretch.
Alex Johnson.
Alex Johnson, the 31. You see the 34 of Daryl Basham also involved in this. Ooh, hard hit there.
Yeah, sure was. Alex was running up in the 6th position. Ooh, Josh Wise, heavy damage.
Soreness for Josh Wise as he gets out of the burning number 22.
Yeah, the second team out of the Eddie Sharp stable. There's the 34, Daryl Basham. Daryl was a lap car, so it'll be interesting to see what may have transpired. See Josh favoring, looks like he's favoring his leg a little bit.
And Alex Jans also involved in this as Jans is climbing out of his car now.
Heavy damage to all 3 of these cars involved in this accident. Alex had a great run at Kentucky, finished in the top 5 in this same car just a few weeks ago. Ed Barrier's crew chief on that car. Hearing that the ARCA RE/MAX officials are going to put this race under red.
Again, the cars have come to rest that were involved in this down just in turn number 1.
A lot of debris on the racetrack, so I'm sure that's what the ARCA RE/MAX officials are looking at. They don't want to have the rest of the field go through all that debris and have a lot of flat tires. Let's see if we can take a look at what happens. There's Justin Marks and Philip Magilton. Trouble already. All
coming out
cars
of
out on the outside wall there. Again, Darrell Basham is involved in that right there. And he was a car that was a lap down. Heavy damage there. Again, that's after the initial impact. Take a look from Philip Magilton's onboard camera here in just a moment.
This will be behind us.
Look up ahead now. Hard impact in the front stretch wall here. There is a safer barrier along the front stretch wall here at Chicagoland Speedway, much like there is in the turns at all the NASCAR facilities.
And that was Josh Wise climbing out of the car right after it happened.
There's Darrell Basham. But Darrell Basham continued on around the racetrack.
So we had 3 cars involved in this one. It was Darrell Basham, Alex Yance, and Josh Wise involved. All 3 are out of the cars. And now the safety crews will go to work on the racetrack. We'll be right back with more on Speed.
You know, for us, it's about winning races right now. It's not about the championship. You know, we're behind Frank, so the only way to get ahead of him is to sit on the pole and win races. And right now, I have nothing to lose, and he has everything to lose. So we're going to go with that mentality that we got to beat him everywhere we go, and we got to win races.
That's Michael McDowell, driver of the number 2, current leader of this race. Phil, obviously, we were able to sit down with Michael McDowell, talk to him about the importance of the championship. We also have the opportunity. We can talk to him right now and see how things are going in that race car.
Let's do that. Hey, Michael McDowell, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Got you loud and clear, Phil.
Well, a couple of goals have been met so far. You got the pole, you got the 15-point bonus, and you've led the race, and you've led the most laps so far. So far, so good, huh?
No, definitely. Eddie Sharp Racing's Z-Line Design Mission Residential Dodge is really good right now. We're just figuring out here what we're going to do as far as strategy goes, but hate to see my teammate out this early. They had a great car as well. And, you know, we'll keep plugging away and try to get the 3rd victory of the year for Eddie Sharp and for Z-Line.
Yeah, we've completed 26 laps now. Obviously, ARCA RE/MAX officials have put this race under red flag to clean up the racetrack. Are you guys thinking about stopping now on this caution flag?
Well, if I told you, I'd be telling the whole paddock. So we're going to keep that a secret here for a little bit, and we'll see what we come up with.
Michael, by the way, you're leading, so pretty much everyone on the racetrack is going to see what you do right as soon as you do it.
Hear you, but we'll make them wait till the last minute.
All right, buddy, thanks.
I don't ever want to play poker with that guy. Man, he holds his cards awfully tight to the vest there. Look at this, Michael McDowell. This is with those 26 laps that he's led already here at Chicagoland. 572 laps led, more than double Frank Kimmel, who's 2nd in laps led in the 2007 season. We're under red flag conditions. We'll be back with more here at Chicagoland. There's been a lot of incidents in the 2007 season, and this adds to that. They are working on the safer barrier. Pretty hard hit coming out of turn number 4. The 3 cars involved, Darrell Basham, Alex Yance, and Josh Wise.
They have the welders out down there because the safer barrier basically is a series of tubular steel sections welded together, and that's what looks like the track officials are working on now. As we talked about, there was some pretty hard hits on the outside wall there, so track officials will make repairs to that. They're really fairly quick at how they're able to do that. Let's see if we can take another look at that incident right there. Remember, the initial impact has already happened. You see heavy damage in the 3 cars involved in that. That's Alex Yance up against the outside wall. Darrell Basham spinning along there right behind him, right of your screen, and Josh Wise has already made his way into the infield. We saw Josh get out of his car. There's Alex Yance right there.
So again,
they have the welders out.
Safety crew working on that, the track officials and such. will make sure that it is safe to go back out onto the racetrack. That safer barrier also has styrofoam behind that tubular steel that you talked about, so it somewhat cushions the impact. So that the cars don't take all of that impact and the drivers don't take it all. The styrofoam helps take some of that away.
Yeah, and that's okay if that wall has a problem, they have to fix it.
Right.
Because that's a whole lot better than getting impact with a concrete wall. You can see right there, there's the styrofoam right there in between. That's the metal tubular steel, and then back here is the concrete wall. So a great innovation here in the last few years in the motor racing arena.
Yeah. Jim Trado.
Well, Jeremy Clements won the race at Nashville and brought home the guitar. He now runs second where he qualified to Michael McDowell. His dad, Tony, is now calling the shots in the pit road today. Tony, what have you guys found in the first 25 laps to get that car adjusted to hang with Michael McDowell?
Well, we know we can do some air pressure adjustments here on our first stop and raise the track bar a little bit. We may put a little tape on. We were a little conservative there possibly, and just try to keep him in the race. We think that you know, in the longer run, he seems like that he don't seem to slow down quite as bad. You know, cars seem like they all get a little tight, but that's been our stuff that we work on during practice for the race to make it a little better on longer runs. But we feel pretty good about it right now. He's obviously complaining that we need to loosen it up for him, but you know, that's the way it is in every race.
And Tony, talk about the strategy now. With the red flag happening now, 134 laps is the distance. Have you thought about the fuel? What's remaining in the windows you have to accomplish to finish this race with one or perhaps two more stops?
Well, you know, it seems like we might have had a little bit of trouble figuring fuel in the past, so we're being a little conservative. That's another reason for going ahead and possibly pitting now, and then, you know, 80-something laps into the race, bring in our last stop and try to have plenty for the end so we don't run him out.
That's the call that nearly cost them a victory at Pocono. It did cost them a victory at Pocono, but Tony certainly wanted to get his son up in the front and stay there. That'd be 54 laps in the finish, guys, if they could run a full fuel load, about pitting on lap 80.
Again, the caution and red flag came out here. We are on lap 27 of the 134 lap scheduled. It is a 200-mile race here at Chicagoland. 20th race of the season. We'll be back. Green flag will fly next. Next Saturday, check out the Rolex Sports Car Series as Scott Pruitt tries to chase down the dominant duo of Alex Gurney and John Fogerty in the season finale. Pruitt sits just 1 point behind the series leader, but the Gainesville boys are on a roll with 7 wins this season. The Rolex Sports Car Series from Utah next Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live and only on Speed.
That doesn't look like a Rolex GT car right there.
Not at all, but there's a Rolex driver behind the wheel, Colin Brown, driving for Roush Fenway here in the ARCA RE Series.
Great run at Gateway just a week or so ago, finishing the top 10 in his first ever ARCA RE start.
Colin Brown in the Daytona prototype.
That doesn't look like a Ford Fusion at all, does it?
Well, I tell you what, that's diversification right there.
Yeah,
when
really.
a driver can step out of a car like this and still be able to talk to a crew chief and give him information about a 3,400-pound car.
At 18 years old.
Yeah, very amazing. Chris.
Well, guys, when you look at Colin Brown, I've had a chance to watch him over the past 2 years when he first started out in Rolex in a GT Porsche when he was just 16 years old. Last year, he was absolutely dominant in the Daytona prototype with his teammate Jörg Bergmeister. Now, there were some changes to that Krone team. This year, he had a new teammate, Max Pappas. Things just didn't quite work out. They just didn't gel. They didn't have the same driving style. And in the Rolex series, you have to have a teammate. It's not like over here in the ARCA where it's all on your own. So they didn't gel. He's got a new teammate, Nick Janssen. They moved Nick from the 76 car over to the 75. They've seemed to work out a little bit better, still trying to get their first win of the year. Hopefully that's going to be at the last race next weekend in Salt Lake City. Now, Colin is very excited about going ARCA racing because he wants to get into NASCAR. No more teammates, but what does that mean? No more excuses. You can't blame the other guy.
Well, and we're seeing so many other drivers also. Jacques Villeneuve's talking about driving stock cars now. You see the drivers from the Rolex series that are coming over here having a lot of success. Michael McDowell, and obviously Juan Pablo Montoya has really, I wouldn't say paved the way, but he's really shown a spotlight on the fact that drivers from other series can come over here and run a full schedule in the stock cars.
I think what it means is if you have a talented driver, then he can adapt. Juan Pablo is making a great transition. Obviously one of the best drivers in all the world. Right. You know, 7-time winner in the Formula One circuit, Indy 500 winner, kart champion. And, you know, you guys like Colin Brown at 18 years old doing such a great job. Michael McDowell has already won here, fighting for a championship. Andy Lally jumps in a Busch car at Montreal, first time ever. Right. Going to finish in the top 5 if he doesn't have mechanical trouble late, and none does finish in the top 10 at Watkins Glen. And Justin Marks, who is really coming to his own, we talked about last 4 races, top 10 finishes. Right. So we've got a great, talented group of guys, whether it be short track drivers, road racers, wherever. You know, the talented drivers will prevail.
And we're still seeing the safety crews working on the racetrack here. The reason that they are working so diligently on this racetrack is because we had an accident that took place. They brought out the red flag to stop everything. One of the drivers involved with that was Darrell Basham. He is with our own Chris Neville.
Yeah, Darrell has just emerged from the infield care center. And Darrell, we've had a chance to look at some replays, but what did you see from your perspective?
Well, I pretty well know what happened. The right front tire blew out of my old car, and I stuffed it into the wall. That's what happened. But I hit something on the racetrack, and they told the guys to get the stuff ready. I was coming in and didn't make it. That's all.
Well, obviously, I'm sure Darrell feels bad about the other 2 drivers who were involved with that when it's just an accidental tire blowout like he had.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of debris, Chris, before the cars, I think, even made contact with the outside wall. So we saw the debris from that right front tire of Darrell Basham's car go down.
Right. And the ARCA officials have let us know that both Alex Yance and Darrell Basham have been in the infield care center and checked and released, and still waiting to hear words on Josh Wise. Again, Josh Wise was able to get out of his car under his own power and climb off into the grass, and then the safety crew were attending to him. The safer barrier work has been complete, and so they will be blowing the track off. The Speedy Dry is on the track now. They'll get that off, and we'll go back to green flag racing in Chicagoland. Welcome back to the ARCA REMAX Series. Chicagoland ARCA 200 still under red flag condition. They're waiting to blow the racetrack off to make sure that they get all of the Speedy Dry off the racetrack. The jet drivers are now out there, so they'll be attending to that.
There's a lot of Speedy Dry right there.
Yeah, there's a lot in turns 1 and 2. Michael McDowell made the comment, that's the most Speedy Dry I think I've ever seen on a racetrack. A year ago at this racetrack, it was really dominated by a guy by the name of Steve Wallace.
Steve Wallace going to break into the ARCA REMAX Series. Did a great job. Won several races last year.
Out in front of the field to start the race. And then stayed there until the checkered flag came out. Garnering his win here at Chicagoland Speedway. We have never had a repeat winner at this racetrack. So 6 times we've run here, 6 different winners. One of those, Frank Kimmel, was in the field today. Won back in 2003. Now, one championship will be decided. Another will just begin to heat up. From the latest on the chase to all the action from here in Chicago, Speed connects you to the world of motorbikes like you've never experienced before. Don't miss the Speed Report tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. for Pacific, only on Speed. And we're having a lot of fun in the infield. Look at all that Speedy Dry.
Wow. Let's see if we can make some contact with our point leader, Frank Kimmel.
I was going to say.
Nope, they might be talking a little bit
that's
there.
Larry Clement talking a little bit. Hey, Frank Kimmel, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Phil, what's going on, buddy?
Well, we're just sitting up here in the booth here watching you guys sit on the racetrack. That's you guys were going pretty good there for a while, and then had a pretty hard hit over there. They had to repair the safer barrier, but looks like that 46 car pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's pretty good, Phil. We're pretty good. We're a little bit tied up off, middle out, and we're able to keep these guys in touch, and I think we can make an adjustment here, make it a little bit better. Maybe we'll get up here and race these guys.
Looked like you were sitting in a windstorm right there for a few moments ago.
Tell you what, last time I seen that much hot air blowing, I think Larry was talking.
that would be your car owner and spotter, Larry Clement. Larry, I know you're listening to this, and you cannot respond, Larry. I'm talking to Frank now, so you'll have to talk to me in the garage here in a couple weeks.
All right, we still got to discuss about which car we're going to run at Salem next week, Phil.
Yeah, we had a heated discussion in the garage area this morning. Obviously, this car right here we're talking about is a car that Larry bought from Roush Fenway, Robbie Reiser. This is an ex-Matt Kenseth car, and ever since you guys have gotten this car, it's run up front each and every time. You had a win in a third and a sure top 3 finish going the other week, and had engine trouble right towards the end of the race, and another good run here. So I said, hey, if it's your best piece, you take it to the next race, which is Salem, and Larry's kind of arguing with me about that. So that's yet to be determined.
Well, we've got a couple cars sitting in the shop down there that we've won a few races with at Salem, so we'll leave that up to Bill and Frank, and whatever they decide, that's what we'll do.
All right, Larry. Frank, you got anything for that 2-car? Michael McDowell looks pretty strong.
Michael's running really good as he's done this whole year, and I don't know. We'll see. Bill's been great about making some adjustments. This car really reacts well to it. We don't need a whole lot, just maybe a tenth or so, and we'll get up here and battle with him. So we'll see how it does out here in the sandstorm. It's a pretty big mess out here right now.
All right, but hopefully we'll let you get going pretty soon here. Good luck the rest of the show.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thank you, buddy.
And so they've lit the pace car lights. That means they will start rolling. We'll take a quick break and be back with more racing from Chicagoland Speedway right here on Speed. Let's get you up to speed. Again, we've only completed 26 laps here at Chicagoland. It was Michael McDowell and Jeremy Clements 1 and 2 when the race started. Early on lap 1, Dominic Casola had some troubles, got into the infield, but no caution came out. Then this was the first caution.
Yeah, Justin South loses control coming off turn 2. That does bring out a caution. This is our most recent caution. Really caused the red flag between Alex Janssen, Josh Wise, and Darrell Basham. Darrell Basham said he cut down the right front tire, and that's what caused this accident.
All 3 drivers were able to climb out of their cars, go to the infield care center. That's Alex Janssen there, having a little help making it to the ambulance. And that's why we were under a red flag condition, and now we're back to yellow. So the cars are making their way around the racetrack, and we would expect to see a few guys making some hard left turns when they come out of turn number 4 and working their way to pit road.
Yeah, it looks like Frank Kimmel's crew's getting ready. Right now, pit road is still closed. Rob Bunker comes in early. He will have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line. Don't know if that was a miscommunication or he may have had a tire going down and he felt like he didn't need to stay on the racetrack and possibly take a chance of damaging that car anymore.
Yeah, when the caution came out, Rob Bunker was running in the 27th position, and there are only 31 cars on the lead lap, so he'll in essence restart in 31st. There you see the green flag coming up for opening of pit road. So let's see who are our takers as far as who will come down pit road. This would be about halfway to what a normal fuel run would be.
Yeah, I think so. And there's no limit on tires here in the ARCA RE/MAX series at this racetrack, so they're not suffering through restrictions within amounts of sets of tires, so they're able to put tires on here and then stop as many times as they want. You can see most of our lead lap cars are heading towards pit road, led by our leader Michael McDowell.
So McDowell will bring the field down onto pit road, and the 3 of Jeremy Clements and the 46 of Frank Kimmel all making their way onto pit road. They're your top 3. Let's go down to Chris.
Well, our points leader Frank Kimmel bringing the 46 car into pit lane, the crew out over the wall. They're going to do the tire change and also making a track bar adjustment. We heard Frank on the radio saying that the car was a bit tight, so they're going to do a couple turns. It looked about 1 turn on the track bar there. Got the right side tires done, just doing the left side now, done with fuel, and down to Jim.
Adjustments on the Z-Line Dodge from Michael McDowell. They're filling it with fuel. They're changing the adjustments with air pressure. They're also going to take a left rear rubber out of the rear spring, so they're going to pop a rubber out of there for an adjustment. Again, they have to build adjustability into these cars because they impound them after qualifying. So they built that adjustability in. McDowell beats out Kimmel. Rob Brent appears to be the first car off pit road.
And I think that McDowell may have come out just behind Frank Kimmel at the pit out line, the actual line where they determine who won the race off pit road.
Yeah, that was a good battle. Michael McDowell, by virtue of having that first pit, really has an advantage because he does not have to be up to speed when he gets to the pit out line. He just has to get to that pit out line.
Right. And they had some problems, it looked like, on the left
Adjustments on the
side
Z-Line
here.
Dodge from Michael McDowell. They're filling it
That
with
was
fuel.
Jim giving us the report as they came down pit road. But see, they can't get it underneath that car. And then once they did get it back up, took them a little bit longer to get the tires on. And they mentioned changing or pulling a rubber out of that car as well.
Yeah, once these cars get down on the racetrack, they can kind of get squashed down a little bit. They're a little bit lower, and looked like, I don't know if the jack handle had actually pumped that jack a little bit or whatever, but he could not get the jack underneath the car, and that held up his pit stop. That allowed the 46 of Frank Kimmel to get in front of Michael McDowell.
When they went across the start-finish line that time, McDowell was scored in the 6th position. That 99 of Colin Brown went across the start-finish line, scored in the 18th position. Chris, what happened to them on pit road?
Well, Colin got held as he was ready to exit because the team jumped a little bit too early off the wall. You'd think, you know, Colin's pretty new to this type of racing. Maybe he would have been the one that got the penalty, but it was that Roush Venray crew got a little bit too early off the wall. They did do a hold there in pit lane. Looked like about 15 seconds, so that's why he dropped back further. Now, I talked to Colin earlier in the weekend, and he was amazed at how much pit stop practice he has had to do with this team and for the Nextel Cup team, too, just trying to learn how to get these cars in and out of pit lane differently than they do in the Rolex series. And he just said, I never imagined that there was so much to learn with just trying to get a car in and off pit lane.
Yeah, Chris, you wouldn't think there would be that much to learn, but you know, under caution flag, it's one thing. Obviously, you follow the pace car down and then you peel off. You have to get to your pit road speed by the first timeline, and usually dictate that by the RPM. You look on the pace lap and they give you a good judge on what your pit road speed's going to be. You watch the engine RPMs, and then you have to maintain that all the way down pit road. You don't want to fudge too much because you can get penalized for that. But then, obviously, Colin was doing his job, and the guys jumped a little bit early, so that cost him about a 15-second pit stop. Chris, what else, bud?
Well, and also Colin was just saying that the difference between the Rolex wheels and these ARCA wheels and what he's going to see in NASCAR is those 5 lugs. In the Rolex series, we just have one big center nut. So what he had to learn is when coming into that pit stop, he's got to lock up those front tires for about 5 or 10 feet so the guys on the guns can see exactly where those nuts are and try and get a better read on where they have to put the air cut. Where in the Rolex series, it's just a center nut that they're getting on and off. And he said, you know, you think it's easy enough to lock up the front tires to give those guys a good look, but if you lock them up too much, you flat spot tires. If you don't lock them up enough, then the guys can't do a fast pit stop.
Chris, you're exactly right, because you want to get that tire changer a good view at where those lug nuts are going to be. But you also have to stop on your sign, too, because if you miss your sign by 3 feet, then your tire changer's down in the wrong spot. So that's a great job. And Colin's, I know, been doing a lot of that in pit road practice.
Out in front of the field right now, the 11 of Brian Silas is leading the way in his Nortrax number 11.
Brian did not pit on this most recent caution flag. There's Frank Kimmel. He's right now being shown in the 4th position. One of the other cars that stayed out made his way to pit road.
Also have Philip Magilton. He's currently scored in the 8th spot.
There's Gabby DiCarlo, the Great Clips Ford. She's in the 15th position. Good run for her.
Got a few cars in front of her as you look out over the hood of that car. Lights are off on the pace car, meaning this time by we're going to see the green flag once again. And this time it will be Brian Silas and Justin South who will bring the field to that green flag. We're back to racing at Chicagoland. Problems again getting up to speed. That time it looked like it was the 00 potentially of Rob Brent.
Yeah, Rob is one of the cars that stayed out. He pitted on lap number 13, our first caution flag, stayed on the racetrack this time. There he is. Looks like he's up to speed right now, so it may have been a transmission problem. Maybe he doesn't have a 2nd or a 3rd gear in the transmission. Michael McDowell's going to look to the inside of Frank Kimmel.
Already trying to take the position away from Kimmel is Michael McDowell. He will go by Frank Kimmel, and now we see Jeremy Clements working on the inside of Kimmel.
Remember, these were the cars that were running 1-2 early in the race. Jeremy Clements was running 2nd. Michael McDowell was leading. They both have gotten by the 46 of Frank Kimmel.
And look at the gap already. Michael McDowell is
trouble.
Caution. Going to come out in the 32. That is Joey Miller. Sure enough, the yellow flag will fly as Joey Miller in that number 32 gets turned around. This Youngfield Holmes Dodge.
He gets it refired. Didn't appear as though he made any contact with anything.
just spun. And this could be Joey Miller's final race.
Yeah, that's what he was telling us in the garage area yesterday. Is no more races scheduled at any rate in the Country Joe's team.
Bringing out our third caution of the day. Again, this race scheduled to go 134 laps, 200 miles. We've completed 33 laps. So Joey Miller will tack onto the back of the field. Out in front, it's Brian Silas leading. Sun continues to shine down on this racetrack as the green flag will go back up in the air, and we're back to racing at Chicagoland Speedway.
Justin South moves to the inside of Brian Silas. Michael McDowell thought about making it 3 wide, said not this time. Justin South takes over the lead from Brian Silas. Michael McDowell back in third.
Silas ducks down on the inside, and I think that right there was a smart move by Michael McDowell.
There's Justin Allgaier right there, Dexter Bean, Mark Mitchell. These cars are running back at the back end of the top 10. Justin had to change engines. He's smoking again. You saw a little smoke right there out of that 16 car.
Could be a little tire wear.
Justin South continues to lead Brian Silas in his tire tracks. Michael McDowell again just taking these. Looks good through the center of the corner. Look at Brian Silas going to go back for the lead.
Looking to the inside of Justin South. South on the outside. Brian Silas makes the pass in the 11. And now the 2 of Michael McDowell is going to try to get by that 59. Silas may have overdriven that corner a bit.
Looked like he got in there a little hot. Lost the front end. Ooh.
Whoa, contact there. Justin South and Brian Silas. I think Michael McDowell is going to want to either get past these guys or drop back so he's not in the middle of it.
He's going to get by the 59 of Justin South. Getting a report that Justin Allgaier is being flagged for that telltale smoke we saw. Tough break for him. Michael McDowell now going for the lead on the inside on Brian Silas.
McDowell trying to add to the number of laps he's led at Chicagoland Speedway. As he gets by the 11, he will lead this lap as we have completed 38 laps from this racetrack.
Jeremy Clements now has taken over the 3rd position from Justin South. Frank Kimmel right now being shown back in the 5th spot.
So as Kimmel tries to maintain a top 5 spot, Michael McDowell is taken back over at the point where he was before, and we see that Ford slow down once again.
I'm not sure he didn't have some sort of a problem. He looked really slow, and it looked like the car was wiggling when he came off turn 2. Just killed all his momentum. Justin Marks was able to drive by. Pete Shepard in the 39 car. There's Philip Magilton now right behind him. Looks like Frank may be back up to speed now. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Philip Magilton all over the back bumper now of that number 46 Ford.
Yeah, Frank appears to be back up to speed. He's just a little slow exiting turn 2. You can see right there the little bit of a bend down that backstretch that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, never really a straightaway down the backstretch.
Never get straight. Frank Kimmel continuing to lose positions. Mark Mitchell now in the 56 car. New crew chief for Mark Mitchell. Barry Dotson, good friend of ours. Barry Dotson is a crew chief right now on that Aragon Chevrolet Dodge.
You know, Barry Dotson has won.
Chevrolet.
Yeah, Barry Dotson's won in virtually every form of stock car racing. He's won in the ARCA series, the Cup series, Truck series, Busch series. I mean, Barry Dotson has won everywhere. So trying to help out, lend a hand here to Mark Mitchell and that team.
It's Philip Magilton right there, his onboard camera. That's Mark Mitchell right behind him. Philip's running in the 7th spot right now. Mark Mitchell in the 8th position. That is a Chevrolet.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm pretty sure. It's got a bow tie on the hood.
The bow tie, I think, gives it away.
Just a little bit.
Again, tight racing here. Everyone right now running the preferred line down on the bottom of the racetrack, but we are going to see 2 wide racing here at Chicagoland.
He's got to go by a lap car right there. Frank Kimmel's dropped back to the 9th position. That's the yellow car behind Mark Mitchell. There's Frank right there. Chris, what's going on with Frank Kimmel?
Well, Phil just checked in with his brother Bill sitting up on top of the box, and he said, you know what, we don't really know what's going on with the car. Frank hasn't said anything on the radio. I'm listening to him on the scanner. He hasn't said anything that I can hear. So the team kind of scratching their heads right now, wondering really what Frank is up to. I said, is he just playing it really conservative with all the racing that's going on up front? He said, no, I don't think he'd be doing that right now. So hopefully he'll tell us something here soon.
Let's listen to this engine, see if we can hear anything. I'd say it sounds okay to me. I mean, he had a bit of a bobble coming off turn 2. That's when a couple cars got by him initially.
Right.
And now he's probably just going to feel it out a little bit. Good side-by-side racing right there. Philip Magilton gets by the 59 of Justin South to take over the 6th position.
How they get back out of the gas and roll through the corner and then right back into the accelerators. We look at Mark Mitchell trying to get on the inside of Justin South.
Mark gets a good run off of turn number 4. Makes the pass on Justin South. Going to try to beat him down into turn number 1. There's Frank right behind Justin South right now. Frank's being shown in the 9th position. Erin Crocker has a good run going. She started at the very back of the field due to unapproved adjustments, and she's made her way into the top 10.
Erin Crocker in the top 10 and currently leading the Super Speedway points challenge.
That car right in front of her, Frank Kimmel, who's moving to the inside of Justin South, is 2nd in the Super Speedway challenge.
Jim Trado.
Guys, Erin Crocker was not going to run all the Super Speedway races this year. She had 12 tabbed on her schedule, but once she found she was in the point chase, we mentioned briefly at the beginning of the program, $60,000 is the point fund payout for the Super Speedway only races. They keep track of separate points. She leads Frank Kimmel right now by 95 markers, which is this and Talladega left on the schedule. Could be a decent payday for those guys. But Erin Crocker's car itself has come to life. They made a major change before the race. I just talked to Randy Seals, the crew chief. When the leaders pitted, Erin came down for what they hope is the last big change through track bar and tire adjustments to get closer again down the same path to get this car handling right to get up front.
And Jim, you know, Phil,
trouble.
Oh, we got problems with Rob Brent and that 00. Shortened that car up considerably.
Sure did. He is able to refire the car, drive it off the racetrack.
The fuel cell is virtually gone on that race car. Normally in the trunk.
Refired again, going to drive it back to the pits, but that car is actually owned by Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski driving for JR Motorsports right now in the Busch Series.
Joey Miller gets in the back of Rob Brent.
And he will back that thing right into the wall.
Really shortens that car up again into the safer barrier. Now that doesn't mean that wall's soft.
No.
But it definitely does cushion the blow a little bit. It's going to be, should be terminal damage for that 00 car.
They're going to take a look at it. You know, Jim was just touching on the fact that Erin Crocker had really made a major adjustment and turned around. We were standing right next to Bill Kimmel, Frank Kimmel's crew chief, when car owner Ray Evernham and Erin came over, and we're talking about setups. And really, Bill Kimmel kind of opened his notebook and said, here's what we do. And Ray jumped on it and said, you know what, I really appreciate that. That was extremely nice what you guys did.
Yeah, that's Bill right there. And I talked to Bill a little bit after Ray walked away, and he said, you know, Ray's always been really good to them and really shared information. So it's a reciprocal deal. And, you know, as you mentioned, Bill just took his notes right out of his pocket and let Ray read them. And
he said, here you go. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, and Ray really appreciated that. So, you know, even though Ray Evernham has won a number of, you know, Nextel Cup championships with Jeff Gordon and a multi-team owner in the Nextel Cup series, you can, you know, always get a little information from some other people, and he and Bill have a good relationship.
Again, Frank currently running in the 8th position. Brian Silas is going to bring his car onto pit road. We ride along with his onboard, that Nortrax Holland Pump Chevrolet, making it down pit road now. He did not come down pit road earlier and was out on the racetrack as the rest of the field came down. Chris?
Well, that's right, Rick. He didn't come in that last caution. He came in that very first one, and they did do fuel and tires on that first pit stop. So he got that track position during the last caution. Coming in now, giving up the track position, but going with fuel and 4 fresh tires.
He's going to have about 20 laps less on his tires than everybody else that pitted back on lap number 28.
Jim.
Gabby DiCarlo had to come in the Great Clips Chevrolet. She had a right side tire right front that went down under this caution. She also had some damage to the left rear tire, the left rear quarter panel, I should say. A little bit of water spewing out the overflow as well, so they're going to have to take a look at the nose as well. Pull the right front right front fender away for Gabby DiCarlo, who was involved in that incident.
And so a handful of cars have come onto pit road. Our leaders stayed out on the racetrack as Michael McDowell holding court here at Chicagoland. Speed's coverage of the ARCA RE/MAX Series from Chicago is brought to you by Just for Men. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. Rob Brent, that 00 out of his car. Again, that was the one that was short here just recently on lap 47.
Had a little help, got run into from behind from Joey Miller. We don't know if maybe they got seized up a little bit in traffic. Let's see if we can take a look back. Remember, we knew that Frank Kimmel was able to get past. There's our Just for Men race summary.
Again, after 50 laps of the 134 scheduled, McDowell back out in front. There's been 4 lead changes and 4 cautions. Again, we had a red flag condition, over 24 minutes of red flag condition here on the racetrack. Right after that, on the restart, Kimmel had problems, and right on by goes that 2 of Michael McDowell.
Yeah, we saw this is actually coming off turn number 4. We saw him bobble a little bit. We heard him having to play with the throttle. The same thing happened off of turn number 2. It may have been just a very loose situation here. Keep watching. You hear Frank had to pedal the throttle a little bit off of turn number 2, so he's definitely having some issues right there, but he did stay on the racetrack when the caution flag came out.
Back out in front, 1 and 2 is Michael McDowell and Jeremy Clements. That's the way they started this race today, and they are back in the front 2 positions. Now it's Justin Marks running in the 3rd spot. Pete Shepard has moved his car up to the 4th position, and then rounding out our top 5 is the 56 of Mark Mitchell.
Justin Marks in the 65 having another good one. There's Mark Mitchell. He finished 2nd at our first race in Daytona early this year in February. Justin Marks running a little bit higher line. Here's some side-by-side racing right there.
Starting to see a few more cars moving up the racetrack, running that 2nd line.
When we talk about getting on the chip, we heard just a moment ago, as you can see right there, Frank Kimmel looks to the inside of Philip Magilton. That is a battle for the 6th position. ARCA RE/MAX officials limit these engines to turn 8,800 RPMs, and they do that through the ignition boxes. You can put whatever rear end gear in that you want, so you can come off the corner with as much RPM as you want, but when you get down to the end of the straightaway, you're only going to turn. Ooh, Joey Miller again.
Turned around once again, trying to keep it on the racetrack, straightening it out. And again, the caution flag comes out.
Got a little bit of caution fever right here at Chicagoland.
That is our 5th caution of the day.
We're averaging 1 for every 10 laps or so.
You know, you bring up averaging. Michael McDowell has won, what is it now, 8 poles?
I think it's 8 poles.
8 poles in our 19 races that we had run coming, or no, 20 races coming in. We take a look at why we're under caution. That's the 32. Again, just breaking loose on his own.
It just got loose there. Brian Ruffner, the 66, and the 11 of Brian Salas were behind Joey. He did a good job not actually completely losing control in that car.
Again, just breaking free.
Just got loose.
But continuing with that point, Michael McDowell has been on the pole every 2.15 starts.
Yeah, just an incredible record. I'm telling you. There's Brian Salas.
That's an average.
On board. Brian Ruffner right behind Joey Miller. Joey just loses control, stays in the throttle, though, gets that car down off the banking. Here's Gabby DiCarlo. She sees it up ahead.
Smoke she
backs
rolls
off.
through.
You hear her backing off right there. Our spotter tells her that the car is on the apron. It's okay to go.
So again, the field under the yellow flag condition for the 5th time today. Frank Kimmel dropped back after starting a lot closer to the front. Up in the 3rd spot, he's dropped back to the 7th position. Chris.
Well, Rick, I know it was a bit of a mystery earlier why Frank Kimmel was falling backwards, but during that last caution, got a chance to listen to him on the radio, and he said the car was just too loose after that last track bar change. So the next time they do come to pit lane, they're planning on going the opposite direction with the track bar, doing an air pressure change, and it sounds like also potentially pulling out a left rear spring rubber. So right now, Frank Kimmel's got his hands full with that 46 car, looking to get back to pit lane, try and make some changes, but it doesn't look like they're going to come in under this caution.
I would think that Bill Kimmel right now should be going, wow, that's pretty good. We're too loose. I mean, before in the cars they haven't had to battle that.
Yeah, he said he'd never heard that before they got this race car loose from Frank, out of Frank's mouth. But, you know, the thing is, that situation could get better and should get better as we see Mark Mitchell on pit road, unscheduled pit stop. Chris, what's going on with Mark Mitchell? Hood's up.
Well, he's reporting to the team that he thinks they're either down a cylinder or possibly a plug wire off. So some engine problems there. They've got the hood up, checking out that engine compartment, seeing if there is a plug wire off, and if they can get him back out on the racetrack as quick as possible here. Quite a few heads underneath that hood right now, seeing if they can find something wrong electronically or if it is deeper inside that motor.
Yeah, tough break for Mark Mitchell. He was running in the 6th position. I think at the 5th position, actually. Top 5 run going for Mark Mitchell. Hopefully they were able to find something to repair that car. Doesn't sound good though, when he got it refired. Actually stalled, it looks like. He does get it running again.
So Mark Mitchell will make his way back out onto the racetrack. So we're awaiting our restart. Again, early on in this one, the second caution that came out, Darrell Basham, Alex Janssen, Josh Wise were involved in the accident. We hadn't updated you on Josh Wise. He was actually checked out in the infield, and they decided for further evaluation they were going to transport him to a local hospital, so they were doing that. But he's awake and conscious. Again, he climbed out of that car himself, had a little bit of a limp when he did get out of the car, so we're still awaiting any word as far as what is taking place with the driver of the 22, Josh Wise. We're back to green flag conditions at Chicagoland. Out in front, it is Michael McDowell trying to cinch up that most laps led at this racetrack.
Jeremy Clements been able to stay with Michael McDowell just about throughout this entire race. Justin Marks really has a great run going in 3rd right now. Justin started back in the 8th position. There's Justin right there on the right side of your screen, in the middle of the screen. Pete Shepard with a good run going. He's 4th in the top 5. Some good side-by-side racing back there. There's Philip Magilton, Frank Kimmel. Now that's Mario Gosling. We haven't talked a whole lot about Mario Gosling. He's a 3-time ARCA RE/MAX winner. Going to drive by Frank Kimmel on the outside.
We're seeing that second line coming into play a little bit as Mario's going to take a position away from Philip Magilton as well.
Going to open up the bottom for Frank Kimmel. He's going to pull up beside Philip Magilton, see if he can take over that spot.
Magilton with the high line.
It's like Aaron Crocker going to follow Frank by. You know, we were talking a little bit ago about Frank's problems being too loose after that pit stop. That situation will typically get better. These cars will actually tighten up the longer you run them. And we can see Frank now. He was backing up through the field after that pit stop, and now he's making his way back forward.
You say they'll tighten up as the runs go longer. Is that because the fuel goes out of the back into the car, which would normally be kicking out when you're loose?
Yeah, you burn off the fuel, and the air pressures build up too, and you build up a lot of right front tire pressure too. So that's another one of the reasons that the cars will typically get a little bit tighter as the run goes on.
Right behind that 98 of Aaron Crocker, the 8 of Blake Feast. Blake has had success in the ARCA RE/MAX Series. 2 wins, his most recent one coming back in Talladega in 2004. This year he's run 3 races. His best finish was in Kansas, 3rd earlier this year.
Yeah, all 3 races in the top 10. That's typically the number 95 car of the Sadler brothers. They actually ran a different number here. There was a threat of rain, and there was some number switching going on. The 0 right there, Brett Hudson, right behind Blake Feast, is another car that typically runs a different number. As they race side by side, both of those cars change numbers in the event of rain to try to make sure that it would be in the field. And there's Colin Brown right behind them. Remember, he is trying to overcome that pit road infraction that he had, and he has done that successfully, and he's moving up now, battling for a top 10 position.
Colin Brown trying to make that pass. Goes to the inside of Brett Hudson. Again, Hudson started 3rd in this race. Colin Brown started a little bit further back in the 5th position, but again, as you mentioned, had to go back because of the pit road infraction. There's 87 of Andy Lally, who's, we're going to talk about all of the road racers. We might as well include Andy as well.
Hit him 2 ARCA RE/MAX starts, 2 top 10s. There's Billy Venturini back in the ARCA RE/MAX series in the family-owned number 25.
Billy not the crew chief today, as he has been doing with a couple different drivers this season. Crew chiefing for Ryan Fisher being one of those.
What a terrible tumble he had at Gateway just a week ago. Got upside down, got into the catch fence coming off turn number 2.
Those 3 cars racing nose to tail now.
Battle for the 12th position.
Billy leading that line down the backstretch. This is another one of those racetracks where these ARCA cars will get upwards. They'll average 175 miles an hour around the racetrack, and so aerodynamics really come into play because you're going to see a lot of drafting here at this racetrack. It can help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. 200-mile-an-hour speeds on the straightaways here. As you mentioned, average speed somewhere around 170. But we talked a few moments ago about the Venturini team right there, Billy Venturini driving. We mentioned that Ryan Fisher drove this car last week at Gateway. Billy was actually crew chief with this car. Let's take a look at that accident coming off turn number 2 at Gateway. The 25 is Ryan Fisher.
Patrick Shelter goes up into it 3 times. That car rolls over, back on its wheels, and Ryan Fisher climbed out of that car.
Yeah, fortunately able to climb out of that car. Now we talk about safer barriers. He missed the barrier altogether, got up in the catch fence.
Yeah.
There's Billy right there. There's a good battle. There's Mario Gosselin right there. That's a battle for the 5th position. Mario has it. Frank would love to get it.
Yep, he took it away from Frank earlier, was able to get by Frank Kimmel when Kimmel was battling with Philip Magilton. Now it looks as though Kimmel is starting to close the gap on Mario Gosselin, reel him back in.
Again, Frank's car may get better and better, Rick. That loose condition could get better and better. Mario qualified way back in the 18th position. Has made a nice run thus far up into the top 5 now.
Closing in on the halfway point of this race. 67 laps will be the halfway point. And it has been the Michael McDowell show. Led from the start of this race, then after coming onto pit road, fell back a few spots, but has been able to work his way back up to the front. Jeremy Clements continues to trail him. Now it's by a second that he has the lead over Clements. Then Justin Marks, Pete Shepard, and Mario Gosselin. Welcome back to Chicagoland for the ARCA 200. Michael McDowell continuing to lead here at this mile-and-a-half racetrack, looking at locking up the most laps led, so he will get those 5 bonus points as well. And whether you're going to the race or watching from home, get the most from your NASCAR weekend at speedtv.com. Get the inside scoop and breaking news as soon as it happens. Log on to speedtv.com, keyword My Race Day. Kenny Wallace, a part of our race day on Speed, and that show is following right after us, 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, trouble. Frank Kimmel's involved.
Kimmel sideways, and he gets into Gosselin. They straighten it out. Now, those two have rubbed fenders earlier.
Yeah, that's not the first time they have been together this race. What a great job by both those drivers. Aaron Crocker going to be able to drive by Frank on the inside. What a scary moment for our point leader, Frank Kimmel. Blake Feast also able to get by in the 8 car.
I'm guessing Frank right now is catching his breath, saying, okay, we dodged a bullet there.
And now he's going to try to pass Blake Feast back. I wonder if he wants to get back up to Mario Gosselin. Oh, look at Mario. Mario's got a flat tire, and around he goes.
Mario loses the tire. He spins around.
That contact with Frank Kimmel undoubtedly cut down the left rear tire for Mario Gosselin. Tough break for Mario. Had a good run going, battling for a top 5 position. The contact probably knocked the valve stem out of that tire, created a slow leak, and it lasted about 1 more lap. And unfortunately, you can see the damage to the 12 car Mario Gosselin.
Those 2 cars got into each other before that incident that we saw. They've been racing for the 5th and 6th position.
Not nearly as significant as the contact they made there just a few moments ago that caused this flat tire. This is the early one. Watch the onboard right here. This is the earlier one. Frank's going to drive up beside of Mario.
Clean looking race car.
Slip up the racetrack a little bit. You see the tire mark on the left rear right there of Mario's car. There's a slight chance that that could have caused maybe that slow leak that Mario undoubtedly had.
I think this may have had a little more to do with it.
Well, they made a lot of contact right here.
Yeah.
But look at, they're both now just trying to regain control. They do a nice job regaining control, but unfortunately Mario is going to pay the price the next time around. That left rear tire is going to go down on Mario.
Mario had grabbed the position and was running out in front.
This is going down the backstretch. This is after that initial contact. This is when they got together in earnest down here. Mario's going to drive down into the right beside him. Frank gets a little bit loose. They make contact, more contact. You see the smoke flying. Again, more contact yet. And they both drive away. Unfortunately, just for one more lap, and Mario loses control. Here's Mario. Left rear tire already gone down. You can see the debris come off the tire. Around he goes. He's going to make contact with the outside safer barrier.
And as that happened, now we have Michael McDowell bringing most of the field back onto pit road.
Jeremy Clements stays on the racetrack.
Justin Marks will come onto pit road. Philip Chilton, Pete Shepard also making their way, and Frank Kimmel also. Chris.
Well, Frank Kimmel bringing the 46 back to pit lane. The team going to take a good look at that right side of the car, make sure the fender on that right front isn't rubbing on the tire. They spent some time talking to everybody. Okay, we have a problem over there. Let's make sure we pull that out. They got the aluminum bat out in case they need to roll that around that wheel well and pull anything away. But team not spending too much time over there, so it's got to look pretty good. Jim?
Michael McDowell did stall the motor. They did change 4 tires on his number 2 Dodge. He did come in for a small air pressure adjustment, half a pound up on the right front, a little out of the left sides, half a pound on both left sides. A bit of a moment there as they had a little bit of a weight on the second gas can. Crew Chief Patrick Donahue says, let's fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, make sure his gas is full, and down and away he went.
Now with this being 134 laps, we've completed 74. That means 60 left. You chance it, don't you?
I don't think it's much of a chance unless we have a green-white checker situation.
Right.
If we go the scheduled distance, I think most all these guys are in their window at about 60 laps.
Okay. Again, the reason why the 6th caution has come out, the problems with the 12.
Watch up ahead right here. This is Frank Kimmel's onboard.
There goes the tire, starting to shred right there.
Bounces, the debris bounces off of Frank's car.
And then it finally goes away, and the 12 will back its way into the wall as it slides sideways just in your upper right-hand corner of the windshield. And we'll go by that car.
Yeah, tough break for Mario Gosselin. Had such a good run going.
So 6 cautions have come out. Most recent one coming out as we've just passed the halfway point. Our leaders came on to pit road, and they'll stay out from here on out.
Welcome back to Chicagoland. Frank Kimmel back on pit lane. The team just playing it very conservative here. They were concerned that they didn't pull that fender all the way off the right front corner. They took a look at it when the car was up in the air, and they just said, you know what, we didn't think we got it all the way off, so they wanted to bring Frank back. He was back near the end of the longest line, so they said, Frank, bring it back down here. Let's leave the car on the ground. Make sure that fender is not laying up against that right front tire, because that would definitely put us in a bad spot with this championship. So the team being very conservative. Everything looks good now. Frank Kimmel back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Chris, we got a great shot of that right front fender. There is quite a bit of damage, but it looks like they have enough clearance right now. So they should be good to go.
They wouldn't want any type of tire rub taking place there and hindering Frank at all, or potentially cutting a tire down, as he is in a tight battle right now with Michael McDowell. We talk about points battles. 105 separate Kimmel and McDowell as they run currently. And again, McDowell now has dropped back to the 4th position after Jeremy Clements, Justin South, and Gabby DiCarlo stayed out on the racetrack. McDowell was the first off of pit road of those who came down pit road. Frank Kimmel right now being scored in the 23rd position, the final car on the lead lap.
Yeah, Frank has a lot better car than that, so he's going to gain a lot more positions here. So, but as of right now, Michael McDowell is in the driver's seat for this particular race, and again, he's got several, goals: get the pole, lead laps, lead the most laps, and win the race. And so far, he's rapidly approaching the third of those 4 goals.
Yeah, he's got 50% already. And unless something drastic happens, he will clinch the laps led, or most laps led, here shortly.
I'll tell you that you can never count out this 3-car right here, Jeremy Clements. We were so close in Pocono, and I don't know if he's going to try to run, you know, 110 laps or something on fuel here like he tried to do at Pocono. The same came oh so close, ran out of fuel coming off turn 3, the last corner at Pocono, and then came back and won Nashville for his first ever career win. And he's had a great car. He's been able to stay right with Michael McDowell within 1 second of Michael McDowell this entire race, but I'm not sure I understand the pit strategy right here that Jeremy Clements is employing.
Pit car has already taken the hard left, the green flag back out, and we are back underway here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, that's Gabby DiCarlo, the great Clip Chevrolet on board. She's in the 3rd position. She did not pit. There's Michael McDowell just to marks both of those cars get by. There's Aaron Crocker going by on the outside. There's Colin Brown.
She's coming back up to speed now on this most recent restart.
She's going to drift back into stuff there. There's that shelter, the 60 car, middle of our screen. That, ooh, close contact right there.
Very tight. Frank Kimmel lays back a bit back here as he sees all of this in front of him. 4 wide at Chicagoland.
Blake Feast down. Ooh, trouble.
Problems, and
Frank just able to get by just before Rob Bunker drives back up into the outside wall.
Right in front of Frank Kimmel. And then Rob Bunker gets turned around and brings out our 7th caution of the day.
That's the danger when you're going to make a pit stop like Frank did and try to, you know, take your time and make sure you have tire clearance where you rubbed Mario Gosselin. You get behind all the traffic right here, and Frank got by just before Rob came back to the outside. Look at him, 4 wide.
Slaps that outside wall.
That's Blake Feast in the 8 on the inside. Ooh, little damage right there. The 4 of Rob Bunker made contact
at 75.
With a 75 of Jason Hedleski.
Again, Kimmel was just behind that 4 when he started to turn sideways, and so
let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what Frank saw.
And he's not in the gas all the way.
We're going to see the contact right here. There he is. Now he gets back in the gas, which was a good move because just after that, that 4 of Rob Bunker came up and hit the outside wall. There's Rob walking away from the vehicle right there.
Safety crews have worked overtime here at Chicagoland.
Let's see if Jeremy Clements takes this opportunity to come down pit road. Pit road is still closed right now because of the proximity of the 4 car of Rob Bunker being at the end of pit road. ARCA RE/MAX officials do not want to take any chances and allow people to come down pit road when that car is sitting right at the exit of pit road.
So pit road is still closed. Now FoxSports.com and SpeedTV.com form the most powerful online team in NASCAR. Breaking news, in-depth analysis, detailed driver stats, and more. Log on to SpeedTV.com now. So as pit road stays closed, we are still under caution. We will slip away quickly, be right back to see if Jeremy Clements does decide to come down pit road this time. Can Kimmel do it again? Well, we're about to find out. But Gabby DiCarlo has to wait on pit road. And Phil, nobody else came down pit road.
She's the only car on pit road. You can see right there her nose over the line. She overshot the pit, but the crew nobody ever told her to back up, which she could have easily done. She's going to get lapped with a lap penalty on pit road. Unbelievable. And the only car on pit road.
Jeremy Clements stayed out on the racetrack, so He takes back over the top spot. Michael McDowell just behind him running second. Justin South, Justin Marks, and Aaron Crocker, your top 5. Colin Brown, Philip Magilton, 66 of Brian Refner is 8th. 9th is Josh Krug in the 23, and Billy Venerini in the top 10 now.
Remember, we saw Justin Allgaier with an oil leak earlier. He was black flagged by the officials. Back on the racetrack, no oil leak, but he is being shown down 34 laps.
About 7/10 of a second separating Jeremy Clements and Michael McDowell in front of the field, but behind him, that is where the real battle is going on for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, there's Justin South, the 59, the 65 of Justin Marks. Here's Aaron Crocker, the 98 on the inside, and Colin Brown in the 99.
I had a feeling before this race that Aaron Crocker may show us a few things today.
Yeah, she's so good on these super speedways. Does a great job. Second 3 times in her ARCA RE/MAX career. Looking for that first victory, and it may come today. But she's going to have to beat that number 2 of Michael McDowell first.
As far as females in racing, Aaron Crocker has more top 5 finishes than any other female in the ARCA RE/MAX series. And it looks as though Justin South is going to move out of the way, as Aaron Crocker will take over the 3rd position now.
Yeah, Justin Marks going to get by on the outside, try to get by on the outside of the 59 of Justin South. There's our leader, Jeremy Clements, right there. My notes, Jim, say that he pitted back on number 28, and yet he had an opportunity to get in his pit window, have enough fuel to get to the end. I know we doubted him at Pocono. We said he couldn't do it. He ended up running out of fuel coming off the last corner. What's his strategy down there, Jim?
I just talked to Tony Clements, Jeremy's dad, who's making the calls today. He just said with that extra caution we just went under, we can go to lap 102 if we have to bring the car down for our final good set of tires. They have 1 set of stickers they want to save for the final run. They figure as long as they can wait till about lap 102 or so, if cautions play out, they can come in, get a fresh set of tires out. While these other guys might be playing the fuel game, they want to play a fuel and tire game. 102 is their magic number on lap count before they have to come down pit road.
Jim, that's not a bad strategy if the caution flag comes back out. If the caution flag does not come out, we're only talking about another 15 laps. Then Jeremy's going to have to pit under green, and he will be a lap down and be out of contention for this race.
It's a gamble that I think the Clements have decided they're ready to take.
Yeah, well, we know that they gambled at Pocono. It almost worked for them. They were within a couple hundred yards of making that race and winning that race. Unfortunately, ran out of fuel on the last lap. Won Nashville, so they're not chasing points. They only run a limited schedule. When they're here, they're to win. It's all or nothing. They don't care anything about points, so it's not a bad strategy, although I would not have used that strategy. I like the fact that they could have gotten fresher tires than everybody else, but they're going to lose a lot of track position, even if the caution flag does come back out. And right now we've got Michael McDowell running second. I don't know, it doesn't appear as though Michael McDowell is able to do anything with Jeremy Clements right now, even with fresher tires. As you can see, a good battle shaping up right here for 3rd between Justin Marks and Aaron Crocker. But Jeremy Clements is going to lose all that track position. He will restart at the very tail end more than likely if he gets his caution flag and makes his pit stop.
Justin Marks not able to make the pass, got very close to Aaron Crocker there as they came out of turn number 2. And now Crocker able to put 3 car lengths between herself and Justin Marks, but it looks like Justin Marks is quite a bit better in the corners than Aaron Crocker is.
He had a good run through the center of the corner there, was able to get back in the throttle. A lot of traffic. There's Frank Kimmel, our point leader right now. He's battling with Andy Lally, one of the Rolex guys that we've talked about. They're battling for the 14th position.
Chris, how is that 87 running?
We've been having a bit of a tough week, and talking with Andy before the race, he said the car was just incredibly loose, a little bit too freed up. And I talked to Tony Ave, the owner there, just a little bit back, said, you know, have you guys made any adjustments? He said, you know what, it still is pretty loose. However, the big problem is we haven't had any long green flag runs here today. So we're thinking that the car will transition well if we get some green flag laps underneath us, and hopefully Andy would then have a good car to run. But as of right now, these short little pockets of green flag that we're doing, the car is just staying way too loose, and Andy's just not able to push it to the front.
You see Frank Kimmel able to get by Andy Lally. Also getting by was the 65 of Justin Marks, was able to get by that 98 of Aaron Crocker.
Colin Brown continues to run in the 5th position in that Roush Fenway, number 99. That's left of your screen. That's Colin.
Jim, what's going on with Justin Marks?
Well, they've been fighting a loose condition at the beginning of each and every run, but yesterday and today he's proved he's extremely strong in a longer green flag run. This 65 team was the team that Michael McDowell pinpointed to me before the race as the team he was most worried about in race conditions. They had a great practice yesterday. Robbie Benton said they just took 1 pound of air out of the right sides on the first stop, did the same thing, lowered the pressures again on the second stop. They have a perfectly handling race car right now, so perhaps he will give Michael McDowell his due as the 65 car is on the charge trying to track down McDowell.
And it looks good. I mean, the attitude of that car on the racetrack looks excellent.
It really does. You know, we talk a lot about coil bind setup, and that means that the cars actually get down on the springs and the spring coils actually touch, and that is to try to keep the same attitude all the way around the racetrack. You want to keep the front end down. You want to have maximum downforce all the way around the racetrack. You want to let as little air get underneath the cars as you can. And that's what a lot of these teams will employ right there. There's a battle for 11th. Joey Miller, after a couple spins or near spins, he's still battling up here. 11th. That's the 39 of Pete Shepard, who had a good top 5 run going earlier on. There's Frank right there. Frank's being shown in the 13th position. He has gotten by the 25 of Billy Venturini since we saw him last.
And remember, Frank restarted in the 23rd position because there was only 23 cars on the lead lap, and Frank restarted back at the tail end of the lead lap line. And so he has already been able to work his way back toward the front.
Looks like he might get another spot right here.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give up too much ground to Michael McDowell today.
No, not at all. I mean, they are definitely cognizant of what that 2-car Michael McDowell does. That, you know, they're here to win this race, but they're also going to keep an eye on that 2-car. If the 2-car Michael McDowell was to have trouble, then that could affect how they will play out this race. But they had no choice because they got together with Mario Gosselin. They had to make sure that that right front tire had clearance, as Chris told us about, and they did. And looks like he's got a pretty good car out now, going again for the 12th position right now on the 39.
You mentioned that it would affect how they maybe run today if the two would have problems. Well, that's exactly what happened at DeCoin on Monday, because Michael McDowell had problems with that car, wrecked it. Frank saw it right away and said, you know what? If we come in now, get 4 fresh tires and fill it up with fuel, we have no concerns as far as points-wise. We will definitely be in front of Michael McDowell when we leave this track, and that's exactly what ended up happening. A very smart move there. Jim?
I just checked in with Michael McDowell's team owner, Eddie Sharp, and I said, Eddie, Frank's been having some issues. Does this change your strategy today? He said, nope, we have our blinders on. We know the 46, where he is, but we've got to win this race. We've got to beat Frank by getting maximum points. He said, there's the only way we can do it is get more points than Frank. So no matter what happens to him, we're going for race victories. It doesn't change our strategy today 1 ounce.
Yeah, Jim, he doesn't have to worry about what the 3 car is doing right now. Jeremy Clements, as you see Frank Kimmel go for another spot. Now that will move him up in the 9th position over Brian Silas. He knows that the 3 car has to pit. So right now, Michael McDowell is definitely in the driver's seat. He's got almost a 4-second lead on Justin Marks, who right now currently runs 3rd, who will inherit 2nd position when that 3 car Jeremy Clements comes down pit road, and that will come very, very soon because we've completed 98 laps.
Exactly. I mean, you mentioned it before, Phil, the gamble that they were taking. Oh, here was Phil Magilton in the 47 getting turned around. He is going to slide it right onto pit road. And there's that caution that Jeremy Clements was looking for.
Yeah, Jeremy's going to get the caution, and he will have some fresher tires than will everyone else on the racetrack. More than likely, Michael McDowell's going to stay out, but he will lose all his track position. So will he have enough car to get back to the front? It doesn't look like it because Michael McDowell was not able to do anything with Jeremy Clements with a lot newer tires. So I don't know. I don't think this was a good call by Jeremy Clements' guys.
When we restart the race, there will be 20 cars on the lead lap. And so if we take a look again at why this caution came out, you see Colin Brown in the 99.
This close racing, yeah, close racing right there. Phil Magilton had a nice run through the center of the corner. Looked like he had a lot of momentum, but it just came together a little bit. Phil moved up the racetrack just slightly, just got into Colin right there a little bit, and then turned left to keep off Colin, and that's when around he went, but did a nice job. You see him back in the throttle there to try to keep that car from sliding back up the racetrack.
We can ride along with Philip Magilton. This is how it felt.
He really did a nice job staying off that 99 of Colin Brown and also keeping that car out of the outside wall. Good job by Philip Magilton.
Gabby DiCarlo, great clips.
It seems as though Gabby has been behind everything
She has
that has gone on this racetrack. She had a good run going. Unfortunately, had trouble on pit road. She overshot the pit. Another view right there of Helen Jilton losing control. She lost a lap with a pit road penalty.
Jilton went back out on the racetrack. He will most certainly come back down onto pit road, at least to get 4 fresh tires. And you see Jeremy Clements looking to the inside now as he readies himself for pit road, and he makes his way down.
Well, thank goodness he's coming down pit road, because I was getting nervous.
Jeremy Clements was leading this race. Before the caution came out, we knew he was going to have to come down pit road for fuel. As he's making his way down on pit road, the 99 also on pit road. Jim.
Jeremy Clements is here to ease your pain, Phil. The crew jumped up on top of the wall and applauded when the caution flag flew as Clements is taking a right side tire change. They're making use of the half a turn in the track bar on the right-hand side. He's got a tire wandering out on pit road on the right front. They've already got the lefts ready. The jack is now coming around. As again, they're changing for Hoosier Radials. This team is not used to having their own guys. They actually have crew guys from truck teams and cup teams normally help them. So it'll take them a bit longer. Good thing for them, not as many cars on lead lap came down pit road. Clements is full of fuel and down and away.
I'll tell you, he got a big break, Jim, by the fact that a lot of lead cars did come down pit road. There's the 11 right there, Brian Silas. So at least he will not have to restart this race about the 20th position. He will be able to restart this race ahead of a number of lead lap cars.
Michael McDowell takes over the top spot now that Jeremy Clements relinquished it as he came down pit road for his final stop. So McDowell will stay out on the racetrack. Justin Marks with a very impressive run, currently holding on to the second spot.
Coming off 4 top 10 finishes in a row. Second just a few races ago at Milwaukee for his career best.
Erin Crocker, she has a career best of second. She has done that 3 times, most recently Kentucky earlier this year, and she currently runs in the 3rd spot.
Blake Feast, that 8 car's got a good run going. He's up in 4th right now.
Green flag back out, the ARCA 200. Again, this one's 134 laps. We've completed 102. We're on lap 103. Jeremy Clements restarts in the 16th spot. Phil, can he get back up toward the front?
I don't think he can. His car and Michael McDowell's are very, very similar. Michael McDowell was not able to do anything with Jeremy Clements with a lot newer tires, so I really don't think Jeremy is going to be able to do anything with a Michael McDowell with newer tires. But right now, Michael McDowell has 15 lead lap cars in between.
Oh, problem. Problem spinning in the front. We've got cars into the wall.
Got Andy Lally, the 87 is around. Brian Silas, the 11, made contact with the wall. That's the 07 of Billy Tanner. Looked like he and Aaron Crocker possibly got together.
That's Billy Tanner in that 07. Andy Lally in the
tough
87.
break for Andy Lally. He was headed towards another top 10 finish here.
Don't want to count him out.
No.
I mean, I know we're getting close to 30 laps of racing to go. Jason Edleski there in the Curtis air compressors, number 75. Look back at what took place.
Yeah, it looked like the 07 was outside of the 60 of Patrick Sheltra, and then he actually turned down. That was the 99 of Colin Brown. I thought it might have been Aaron Crocker. But once he cleared the 60, or the 60 cleared him, it looked like he tried to turn inside, and then Colin Brown made some contact. Nothing he could do about it. Then Brian Silas looked like he got into the back of Andy Lally. The 87 turned him around. Brian hit the outside wall. Pete Shepard barely getting by the 07 of Billy Tanner on the inside. This is Brian Silas's onboard right here.
Things happen quick.
Yeah, there's the contact with the back of Andy Lally and into the outside wall.
So 9 cautions have taken place here at Chicagoland. Silas on pit road now. Silas has been out in front of this race. McDowell is now. Welcome back to Chicago. We make it to the Windy City. Holy cow, Wrigley Field. Harry Carey. I don't know if anybody's ever become more famous being an announcer.
Yeah, I'm Phil Parsons alongside Harry Carey here in the booth. Great town here, great town, the Windy City. And it was windy yesterday.
Spectacular crowds coming out and enjoying racing, and another one here for the ARCA RE/MAX Series. The Chicagoland ARCA 200 closing in on its final laps. Again, we've got 105 in the books on lap 106. Michael McDowell in front of the field.
Jeremy Clements was able to gain 5 spots. He was behind a lot of that action there that we saw, so he will restart this race in the 11th position. So he's getting a little bit closer, but again, I don't think his car is so equal to that 2 car of Michael McDowell that I don't think he's going to be able to overcome the fact that he's going to restart 11th, and Michael McDowell is going to have clean racetrack up there in first.
Had a pretty good green flag run there. Quite a few laps logged. We've had 9 cautions come out. The record at Chicago for the ARCA series is 10 cautions. So closing in on that, that's one of those records that we don't want to break. Andy Lally making it back out onto the racetrack. Chris, what'd they have to do to that thing?
Well, they did put four new tires on the car. Took a look at the sheet metal on the left side. Lots of damage there, but they didn't have to pull anything away from any of the wheels on the car. Now, Tony Yave talking to Andy Lally in the car saying, you know, shake it back and forth. It looked like the rear end might be a little bit bent, so try and figure out what you've got before we go back to green. Andy Lally is reporting right now he doesn't think anything is wrong with that rear end.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like the left front fender is a little bit close. Hopefully they were able to get some clearance there.
Just climbed out of his number 47. So the crew and the guys taking a peek at that car up on jack stands.
Philip taking his hot shoes off. That insulates the driver's feet from the hot floorboards. The exhaust pipes run right underneath the floorboard. You see the 07 just gets passed by the 60 of Patrick Shelton, then turns down right in front of the 99 of Colin Brown, and then there's really nowhere to go for a lot of these guys. Brian Salas came along, ran into the back of Andy Lally. Andy, I'm sure, saw it maybe a little bit before Brian Salas did. Back off the throttle. Brian made contact. Around they went.
Magilton was out earlier on the 8th caution. Coming up next, NASCAR Race Day live from Richmond. Again, the final race before the chase. Get all that information right here on Speed. That's coming up again 4:30 Eastern. Can Michael McDowell make it 3 wins in the 2007 season? He's on the verge here at Chicago. Tomorrow, grassroots racing will never be the same. 1 hour, 2 new shows. Should Speed pick up these pilots or take them off the air? Tune into Launch Hour tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Speaking of launching, Michael McDowell is going to launch that number 2 as the green flag comes back out. Now on his back bumper, Justin Marks, Aaron Crocker, Blake Feast, and the 46, Frank Kimmel has made it to the top 5.
Jeremy Clements will restart this race in the 11th position.
That 65, about 4 car lengths back from the 2. Any special strategy there, Jim?
Rick, what they were talking about before the race was strategy that they saw 1 year ago. Justin Marks, just about a year in this series after running factory BMW, said, you know what, I noticed Blake Bjorklund last year come from about 15th to 2nd by taking tires within about 30 laps to the end of the race. The caution flew with 35 to go. So I asked Robbie Benton, why did you not come down pit road in the 65? He said, the car's been running good. We need longer runs and track positions too much to gamble on. So they're staying out for the remainder here, but they had thought about it before the race, coming down to get fresh rubber because they saw what I did last year in the ARCA race. So again, Mark's doing a lot of learning, a lot of listening, a lot of watching to gain experience here in the ARCA RE/MAX series.
There's Jeremy Clements, that 3 car on the inside. He's going to get a couple positions. The 32 of Joey Miller, he got by him. He's going to come by here in the 9th spot, so he's gained 2 spots since the restart. But the problem is right now, he's almost 5 seconds behind our leader, Michael McDowell.
16 not on the lead lap, so not a passport position.
There's no doubt that Jeremy Clements has a great car. Obviously one of the best 2 cars here, but the problem is now, because of hitting later, he is separated by 8 cars, 8 lead lap cars, and about 5 seconds.
But again, 22 laps of racing to go. With the fresher tires, he should be able to make up some ground, but by the time he gets up there to the top 3, he's going to have worn out those new tires.
Yeah, there's a 46 of Frank Kimmel. He was able to get by the 8 of Blake Feast. We're getting a report that Blake may have made some contact with the outside. Well, let's see if we can take a look back. Watch top of your screen or right of your screen. Blake does make contact coming off turn number 4. Does a good job corralling that car, but it's going to allow Frank to get by him on the inside. Blake maintains the 5th position.
So Kimmel breaks into the top 5, actually the 4th position. Aaron Crocker just in front of him, and then it's Justin Marks running 2nd. Michael McDowell continues to lead, and Michael McDowell has locked up the laps led, or most laps led in this race. So he will gain those 5 bonus points.
He's doing all he can do.
He's got 3 out of 4 of his goals.
He got the pole, he led laps, he led the most laps, and now if he can carry on and win this race, then he will have done absolutely everything he and Patrick Donahue, Eddie Sharp, and that entire team can do.
And that's all they have control of. They cannot control what happens with the 46 car as far as this championship run goes.
And you know, they don't expect the 46 car to shoot themselves in the foot. You don't win 8 championships in this series by not knowing how to win championships. So Frank Kimmel is not going to make any major mistakes. The closest he came to making a mistake was when he and the 12 of Mario Gosselin got together. That could have been a very, very serious situation for Frank. It ended up being a catastrophic situation for Mario Gosselin, but Frank was able to overcome that, and right now he is battling in the top 5.
Up into the 7th spot is Jeremy Clements, so we got to keep an eye on Jeremy Clements, as he had the strategy of coming in the latest, putting fresh tires on, and now he's going to try to reel in that 99 that's just in front of him. That is Colin Brown. That will be his next victim if he's able to get by for the 6th spot.
But still over 6 seconds, almost 7 seconds behind our leader right now, Michael McDowell. What Jeremy Clements needs is a caution flag. He needs a caution flag. He needs to be able to get by a couple cars, get a caution flag, maybe even get by a couple more cars on a caution flag, because he needs to keep closed up as much as he can, because he's not going to be able to do anything being almost 7 seconds behind Michael McDowell.
Jeremy Clements would love to get by a few more cars here and take advantage of these fresh tires. Colin Brown, again, that next victim, and he's running quite a bit faster than Colin Brown. He's able to close the gap. We'll see if he's able to get by him on the next lap.
Colin's really doing another nice job here. 2nd ever ARCA RE/MAX start. Looks like he's going to be able to finish in the top 10. Right now he's running 6th. Jeremy Clements going to try to get by him for that 6th position. Again, Jeremy's got a lot fresher tires than Colin. He's going to be patient, but Jeremy Clement is continuing to lose time right now. He got to the 99 of Colin Brown, and he's not been able to do anything with him. He's now being shown 7.5 seconds behind our leader, Michael McDowell.
So Michael McDowell now stretching it out, and problems with the 11 of Brian Silas. He will take that behind the wall. So a long day for the 11 team and a disappointing finish. Get a reminder, stay tuned right here on Speed NASCAR Race Day, live from Richmond. The final race before the chase for the Nextel Cup.
The big question is, can Dale Jr. get back in this chase?
And really, it would have to be Kevin Harvick having a big falter. They're going to talk about that on Race Day, so make sure to stay tuned right here on Speed.
I understand that Travis Quapple is going to drive for Robert Yates Racing. Actually, Robert Yates, I understand, is going to retire at the end of the year, and Doug Yates will take over that team. And Travis Quapple will be the new driver of the number 88 that Ricky Rudd currently drives right now. So a lot of news, and I'll tell you, Johnny and Kenny and Jimmy and Wendy and all those people are going to bring you right up to date with everything going on in the Nextel Cup series.
They'll get us up to speed. Travis Quapple, former winner in the ARCA RE/MAX series.
Ran Pocono in that very car right there, that 99 car out of the Roush stable. Colin Brown looking at the 8 of Blake Feast. Remember, Blake bounced off the wall a few moments ago coming off turn number 4. That's obviously hampered his effort. Now he's moving up the racetrack. Colin Brown going to be able to get by him, as well as I'm sure Jeremy Clements will here in just a moment.
Jeremy Clements not able to get by the 99 of Colin Brown, so it doesn't look like he has anything for the 5th place car now. So maybe a little pit strategy gone bad for the 3 of Jeremy Clements.
Blake Feast is going to battle back on the outside. He does not want to give up that top 5 position, and as of right now he still has it, but goes way up the racetrack way high up into the gray stuff, and looks like Colin's going to be able to get by on the inside. Jeremy Clements is going to pull up behind him, try to give him a little push when the draft.
We're hearing from pit road that Bill Kimmel had binoculars in his hands moments ago because they may be worried about a tire rub on that 46. Chris, is that what you're hearing down there?
Well, initially an ARCA official came over to the team and said, hey, we think we see a tire rub on the 46. Bill got out the binoculars, took a look at the car. He said that...
problems on the racetrack. Pete Shepard gets turned around and into the wall. Sorry about that, Chris, but we've got our 10th caution of the day here at Chicago.
That's something that Michael McDowell did not want to see. Did not want to see a caution flag. He had almost a 2-second lead on our second place car of Justin Marks. 10th caution flag.
We will start in a single file restart when they get the track cleared. And so there will not be lapped down cars on the inside of Michael McDowell. It will only be lead lap cars up toward the front.
Yeah, so important for Michael McDowell to get a good restart. Get on the throttle right, don't spin the tires, get up through the gears good, but he's a road racer, so you know this should be right in his wheelhouse.
Let's take another look at what just took place. That's the tail end of it as you see the 39 sliding across the top of the racetrack coming out of 2. Hey, Chris, a little strategy playing out for the 46 team?
Well, as I was saying, we were concerned there was possible tire rub on the 46. Bill, you had a chance to take a look at the car. You see anything?
No, they said it was coming from turn 3 on the inside. What happens, I think, sometimes is you enter a turn that comes up and hits inside the fender. And we had a little bit of an issue that when he was qualifying. I don't think there's anything to it. I certainly hope not right now. Maybe this yellow will run out about 10 laps and we'll be done with this thing today after this fiasco we've had today. So if we just hold on and get a top 5, top 6 finish out of it, we'll be tickled to death after what we've been through today.
Now with this last dash to the checker flag, is Frank going to be pretty aggressive here, trying to pick up a couple more spots, or is he happy with where he is?
Well, I would hope that he would. I hope he would be cautiously aggressive. But you know, you think about points and stuff like that. But as it gets close to the end, I'm sure he'll do everything he can to pick up a spot or 2.
Well, right now he's only a couple spots back from Michael McDowell, and he has dodged a lot of bullets today.
As you see, Frank Kimmel with a 160-point lead over Michael McDowell. Coming into this race, it was 200. Then Michael McDowell got the pole, which gained him 15 points. So it made it 185 at the start of the race. So he's made up just 25 points. I mean, he's going to have to make up more than that with just 3 races remaining.
Well, he is, but we know that when they went to DuQuoin, Michael McDowell was only 40 points behind. He had trouble early. Frank ended up with a 5th place finish, gained 160 points just last Monday at DuQuoin, so it can happen. This can turn around. Somebody can have trouble. You know, we go to Salem next week with the ARCA RE/MAX Series, and then we've got Talladega coming up on speed in a few weeks, and anything can happen there, as we all know. So this thing is not over by a long shot.
And Michael McDowell has done the math as well and thought about all the bonus points that he can gain. We'll take a look at team owner Eddie Sharp there. Normally, Eddie, at the beginning of the season, Eddie was up on top of the press box, and he was a spotter for Michael McDowell. And then he decided, you know what, I can't do this with 2 cars out there. I have too many problems spotting and as well as being the team owner. So he's decided to be down on pit road now. We see Andy Lally in the 87 on pit road. They're going to do at least right side tires. It looks like that's all they'll do for this one.
Yeah, Andy's still on the lead lap even after all that damage. He's being shown in the 16th position. There are 16 cars on the lead lap. Joey Miller has fought back to a top 10 run. He's running 9th right now. Dexter Bean we haven't talked a great deal about. He's running in the 8th spot.
Yeah, your top 10, Michael McDowell, Justin Marks, Aaron Crocker, Frank Kimmel, Colin Brown. Then it's Jeremy Clements, Blake Feast. The 6.
Dexter Bean
Dexter
right there
Bean, as you mentioned it, is running in the 8th spot, 32. Joey Miller still up in the top 10. And rounding out the top 10 is Justin South in the 59. Again, a reminder, 4:30 Eastern will be NASCAR Race Day live from Richmond. That crew will be kicking off the final race of what we would call the regular season. and getting us caught up to speed on everything going on in the Nextel Cup world. Getting inside of 10 laps when we restart. When they go across the start-finish line, they're going to let them know 1 lap before the restart, and so they will restart with 7 laps of racing remaining. And Phil, I would pose the question to you, with Justin Marks having a great run today, how much does Justin Marks gamble on this restart to try to get by that 2 early on? Because it looked like once they got further into the run, he didn't have anything for him.
I think that's his only shot, and I think that's when the 2 of Michael McDowell will be the most vulnerable, is right on the start. You know, he can spin the tires, he can miss a gear, something like that, and maybe Justin Marks can jump to the outside when we get down in turn number 1 and just try to hold that thing down, try to run that corner wide open, because you're not up to full speed going through there. Try to do something, because otherwise, as you mentioned, once they start going, it looks like that Michael McDowell is able to pull ahead a little bit. Jim, who have you caught up with down there?
Team owner Eddie Sharp. Eddie, what are the thoughts? You said you had to win this race. How about your chances here late in the going?
Well, I don't want to jinx anything, but everybody's done an awfully good job today. We started out pretty bad. Our team car got took out by a lap car, and makes your mood kind of somber. But right now, I'm really proud of these guys wearing these uniforms. They make me want to be here, and Michael's just phenomenal. And hopefully we can bring it home, because these guys have earned it today.
It's pretty calm, but he's been doing a bit of pacing down here as well, guys.
Field coming out of turn number 4. I tell you what, with all the pressure that's on Michael McDowell, is all the lights and all the, the eyes are pointed towards him as far as can he give Frank Kimmel a run for this championship. I think he's done a spectacular job this season.
Well, he certainly has. He has not faltered one bit. He was taken out last week at DeCoin with a flat tire, so there was absolutely nothing he could do about that. And look at this jump he gets on this restart.
Great restart for Michael McDowell as we have 7 laps of racing to go, now about 6.5. As Justin Marks has lost about 4 car lengths on Michael McDowell, and that car looks so good in front, hugging the white line through the center of the corners.
Aaron went a little bit wide through turn number 4 that time. It allowed Frank to catch up a little bit. Not able to get close enough to do anything with her, but Frank would love to get that spot on Aaron and another 5 points. Looks like he's going to make a run coming off turn number 2.
Looking to the inside, Aaron Crocker not going to relinquish that spot. Remember, there's a race within the race here, and looks like Kimmel slows a little bit there. And now gets back on the gas as Colin Brown has moved by Frank Kimmel, so Colin Brown moves up into the top 5.
It looked like Frank's momentum was lost a little bit coming off turn number 2, and that allowed the 99 of Colin Brown to have some momentum, be able to get by him. Now Jeremy Clements is going to look to the inside of Frank.
So Frank is trying to hold on to a top 5 spot today, but he's going to lose that position to Jeremy Clements, and Colin Brown makes the pass on the 98.
Moves into the 3rd position. Now Jeremy Clements is going to move into the 5th spot. Frank Kimmel back to 6th, lost 10 more points in that last lap.
So Frank Kimmel backing up a little bit here on the final laps of this race as Michael McDowell continues to put distance between himself and the field. Almost a second now separates McDowell from Justin Marks.
Yeah, 4 laps to go for Michael McDowell. Really has driven a flawless race. Had good pit strategy. There's a battle right there for the 4th position. Jeremy Clements is on the inside. Aaron Crocker on the outside. Remember, Jeremy has a little fresher tires than does anybody else in the field right now.
Did you think that we would see Jeremy Clements get this far? I mean, get that close to the front?
Probably didn't.
So late?
Probably
oh,
didn't. Trouble.
Again, that was Joey Miller in the 32. It looked like smoke rolling out of the back of that car. And he slides all the way across the infield.
No caution flag yet. ARCA RE/MAX officials keeping an eye on Joey Miller. Still under green.
He's not impeding anyone on the racetrack, and so the 32 is going to make his way back out onto the racetrack, and we stay green. Now, what that does is that will put Joey Miller right in front of our leader of this race. As Joey Miller tries to get back up to speed, he's going through 1 and 2, and now Michael McDowell just into turn 1.
Yeah, with only 2 laps to go, though, I don't think Michael McDowell will ever get up to the 32 of Joey Miller. We've got 1 slow car on the backstretch right now, but I tell you, Michael McDowell has really done an incredible job this year. Looks like he's well on his way to win number 3 in
Looking
2007.
for his 3rd win of the 2007 season, and we see the debris on the racetrack. Very close to it as some of the cars making their way by. White flag has come out. 1 lap to go for Michael McDowell.
Unlike NASCAR, if the caution flag were to come out right now, they would have to have a green-white checker finish. So far, we stay green.
And since this is the final lap, no caution has come out. McDowell making his way through 3 and 4. That Eddie Sharp Racing team has been so successful this year, and once again they'll find victory lane, this time Chicagoland.
Look at this battle for 7th. There's Dexter Bean. Look at Blake Feast all the way on the apron.
Blake Feast almost getting by, but not able to do it.
Yeah, that was Brett Hudson in the 0. He ended up finishing in the 8th position. But Michael McDowell wins number 3.
And a great run for Justin Marks. That's a career best for the 65, and Justin Marks coming home in 2nd. His career best up to this point was 3rd at Iowa from a year ago. And so Justin Marks inching ever so close to that first win in the ARCA RE/MAX series. Well, he's 4 for 4.
Yeah.
When you set 4 goals at the beginning of the day and you end up accomplishing all 4 of those, that's all you can do.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
The A team, if I remember correctly. McDowell will celebrate once again as he has claimed his 3rd win of the 2007 season. That ties him with Frank Kimmel for the most wins on the season. Justin Marks, Colin Brown with a career best 3rd here at Chicagoland. Speed's coverage of the ARCA RE/MAX series from Chicago is presented by RE/MAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. Let's go down to victory lane. Jim Trado.
And climbing out for the 3rd time this year, Michael McDowell dominating here in Chicagoland. Getting the Gatorade shower. They wanted to accomplish what they did today. Win from the pole, lead the most laps. And Michael, how satisfying is it to pull off the big win today?
You know, first of all, I got to thank Eddie Sharp Racing, Z-Line Design, and Mission Residential. You know, really glad to be able to get our 3rd victory here. And, you know, we got the Make-A-Wish Foundation on the car, and there's a lot of great kids out there that we hope we can help out. And I just got to thank Rob Finley for believing in me. And, you know, to sit on the pole and to win, that's a good thing because we haven't done it yet. And we're going to keep doing this. We got to get those points, and I just can't thank these guys enough. It was awesome.
Justin Marks was also a challenge. Jeremy Clements was a challenge. And, of course, you had the 46 on the mind. How did it play out for you mentally today?
You know, I just knew we had the best car, and I just knew that if we got it right at the end, we could run away, and we were able to do that. And when Jeremy was in front there, I conserved a little bit because I knew he had to stop, and I wanted to have tires there with the last 20 to go, and we did it. You know, this is what we came to do, score maximum points, lead as much laps as we can, and sit on the pole. So here we are in victory lane.
Woo! Chris?
Seemed like every spinning car was trying to take a shot at the championship leader, Frank Kimmel, today. Frank, you had to go all the way back to the longest line midway through the race, but you fought back.
Yeah, the car was pretty good. We had a top 5, top 6 car, ended up 6, so it was good racing. Man, you're right. It seemed like I'm sure our in-car camera people got their money's worth today because we saw a lot of exciting things going on.
Well, he's going for that 9th championship, and with a finish like today, shouldn't be that tough.
We lost a few points on Michael McDowell today, but that's only because Michael McDowell did everything he could possibly do today.
He sure did. Great job by Justin Marks. Equals his career best. Best career finish for Colin Brown in his 2nd ever ARCA RE/MAX start.
And Lally rallied back and had himself a top 20 finish after having problems. Josh Wise, again, early on, brought out the red flag with his accident, finished in the 35th position. Again, we were told he was taken away to the hospital for further evaluation, but again, it just looked like it might have been a sore leg or something with the leg. So, want to remind you, NASCAR Race Day coming up live from Richmond. Following us, it was an accident-laden race, but when it was all said and done, it was Michael McDowell who was perfect. Started the race from up front, led the most laps, and found his way to victory lane. Thanks for watching.